the highlight of my life was my weekends for school, and I kind of missed it. We had a really nice
Yeah.
break. I'm not gonna lie. It was like
Dude, it was
almost two
forever.
months.
See, it was weird because I was going through the week, like Monday through Thursday. This schedule's different for me. Like having to do the welding for the 8 hours is an adjustment.
Yeah, I kind of was deciding whether I was gonna do the weekday versus a weekend, but then I figured Monday through Friday is a typical work week, so Saturday, Sunday would be like a sacrificial thing. But at the end of the day, you weld typically for an 8 to 10,
Hmm.
sometimes even 12-hour workday.
Hey, my name is Naomi. I am currently a welding student. I'm looking to further my career in the welding field, and I have always had an interest in physical manual labor, working with my hands. So I hope to pursue that in the near future. This is a little bit different, like I said, because we're welding with almost the entire class minus lunch. And then during the week for last semester, since we were only going 4 hours a day, it wasn't even that. It was like, because we spent some time in the classroom, and then by the time we got downstairs and people would take breaks, I don't know, I felt like we were only in the shop for like 3 hours maybe.
Mm-hmm.
It went by so fast. And so when they would give us something to do, when the instructors would give us like an objective, like by the time we grind and that's the difference. That's why I think I'm used to grinding the mill scale off every piece, because like we had to, like they wouldn't even look at our work if we didn't clean it. So I'm
Right.
just like, now I just become used to that. I'm just like, oh, I'm just going to do it anyways.
It's a
I
good
think it's,
habit.
yeah. I think it's good practice to have, but I like doing it anyways, because anything I turn in for grading, I like it to be shiny, I guess. But yeah, the instructors that I had last semester, they wouldn't even look at it if it wasn't, all of us had to clean. So by the time we cleaned our stuff and then prepped it and did all that shit, it felt like we only were in there for like 2 hours. I felt like we never had enough time. So this is nice on the end that you have enough time to get things done. But then on the other end, it feels like the full 8 hours. It
Mm-hmm.
feels like a full day that's why when I got off today, because I still was cleaning after you left, and I was like, dude, I'm fucking tired. I was like, and I was sweaty and I was dirty, and I was like, that's why I was like, let's just go get something to eat. I normally cook. I try to cook like every night, but I was like, dude, I'm fucking tired. It's Saturday. I'm like, let's just go grab a bite. I've always worked like long ass jobs. Like the job I had before I did Amazon Flex, I was working 14-hour days.
The one you did for construction?
No, so I did the construction when I moved out here in 2017, and then I did that. It's my dad's. That's why my dad and mom moved out here, because my dad has his own company and he has his own. It's a fiber optic cable, so they do the fiber optic for like any types of businesses, any types of buildings. So, but in order to install the fiber optic, it's underground. So it's called blowing fiber. So that's the little term, like blowing fiber. So when I moved out here, I did that. I worked in the office at first, and then I was like, dude, I want to get out on the field. Like I wanted to actually be out on the field. So we went out on the field, or he put me out on the field, and then I loved it. So I did that 17, 18, 19, 20, so until COVID. So what, 3 years, almost 4 years. And then after COVID, he just had a work lull. There wasn't a lot of work. He had to find work, and we would travel like all nationwide. So we'd been like worked in Florida, went back to Cali, worked in Georgia, worked in Missouri, a bunch of places here in Texas. So we would travel, we'd get our per diem, we'd stay in hotels. And I love that. Like, I love that lifestyle. Like, I love that. So, but then after COVID, it was hard for him to find work. So I had to find like the closest thing to that type of work. So I just ended up finding warehouse work. So I worked that's when I got my forklift driving job. And I worked at this place called Epiroc, and they manufactured oil rig parts. And I did that for a while. And then I worked at Cisco and I was driving electric pallet jacks. And that was fun. But I worked in the freezer and it was like negative fucking like, what was it? It was like negative 6 degrees in the freezer. We worked like 12 to 14-hour days, or actually I worked overnights. So 12 to 14 night shifts. And then it was the wear and tear on my body was just like out of control. I worked at another job called Amerisource. And they did, it was a pharmaceutical company, and it was the same thing, like 14-hour shifts. So I just started just doing a whole bunch of warehouse work because that was the closest thing I could find to like construction work, which was more like physical labor type of work, which is what I prefer. And then at some point I was like, you know what? Actually, this like why I got into welding, it's not a long story, but it's kind of like a tedious story, but it just that kept coming back around, like welding. Like I remember thinking about welding. I know like my uncle had his welding company and that kind of always interested me back in San Diego, but I was like, I'll never, like, you know what I mean? I never put too much thought into it. And then I started thinking about it. Once I started to get into warehouse work, I would talk to like, you know, you meet your coworkers and we talk about it. When I worked with my dad, I remember he needed somebody to weld a hitch for him. And like they brought on a welder, and I remember thinking like, that'd be cool if I could do that. You know what I mean? And then it just like, I don't know. And then I remember watching out of nowhere. I don't know if you've seen that show on Netflix called what was it called? I think it's called like Metal Shop Worker. No, what's it called?
Yeah, they have a couple of those types of shows on there.
But there's one in specific on Netflix, and it's sick because every episode they have to do a specific thing. And then like whoever they vote has the, you know, built the sickest like metal work, they go on to the next, and then there's an elimination. I'll find it and I'll send it to you, but it's super dope. So I got into
like metal forging show.
No, here I'm gonna find
Metal
it right
Shop
here.
Masters.
Yeah, Metal Shop Masters. You have to watch it. Like the guy. So there's 2 guys at the end, and one guy that should have won didn't win. But he was sick, so I started following. I looked him up. I followed him on Instagram. There was a chick on there, and she was decent. And then I started following her on Instagram. It came back around in conversation with one of my coworkers way after the fact. And then I was looking up welding programs out here in Texas. Long story short, I just feel like welding kind of found me opposed to me finding welding. Like it just kept coming back around. I never really put that much thought into it. And then every time I would forget about it, something else would pop up about welding. And then I would think about it, and then I forget about it, and then it'd pop back up. You know what I mean? So then I was like, I think there's something here. Like I need to like look into this. So I was like, I'm going to fucking go for it. So this last semester when I signed up, I'm like, no, I'm fully dedicated to like see this through and just see where it takes me, you know. I don't know. I'm actually kind of surprised that like, so this is advanced MIG that we're in, and like we're just doing everything we did last semester. Like we did overhead. I know like
you did overhead last semester.
That was our
into overhead. It's in your intro.
Yeah, in our intro, that was our final. Our final was vertical.
Wow.
So we had to build. What the fuck? So it was like I don't remember the.
See, that's why I had to ask, because I know your classes are similar in a sense, but we had different instructors. So I think we did do different things, even though our curriculum is somewhat similar.
Everything we're doing now, we already did that. Like that was all we did last semester. That's why I'm kind of like, what? I thought this was like advanced. So we built the beveling that we're doing now, right? Isn't that so what we did it on
pen test last semester?
Yeah, that was our final. What?
Okay, now I just feel behind. But I'm surprised that you did that in your intro, because our intro was just running straight and horizontal beads till our freaking arms fell off.
No, we did all of it. We did the flat, the horizontal, the vertical, and then we did the last few maybe 2 weeks, the last 2 weeks.
Right.
We did the overhead.
You were day class?
Day class. Monday through
Okay.
Thursday, 7 to like we get at 11:15. But that's why I'm like, dude, we already did all this stuff. But like even on a little bit bigger scale, to be honest, like this teacher's just different than the teacher I had before. And then they want like specific, like he specified he wanted me to use a specific pattern. The teacher I had last semester specified she wanted us to use a different pattern. So like, I don't know, it's all different preferences. I guess that's why I don't really fall into like one way that your weld should look like in a specific pattern. What I've been seeing too on like,
Mm-hmm.
I watched a few YouTube videos. I try not to somebody's specific way of welding, because what I have learned
Mm-hmm.
is that like everybody has like welding is like writing, so like everybody's going to have their own way, like so there's not one specific pattern. I think unless you go to a job and that if they specify that, but I feel like if you practice just having good clean
Are you
weld.
talking about like how to run a bead? Like, is that what you mean by pattern?
Yeah,
Like if you're
yeah,
running like, okay,
yeah.
like the whip
um
and pause or like the circles or the J's or the freaking, I don't even
yeah, or
know.
how we did the zigzags today, like so we
Right.
did the
Did he
zigzags up.
specify do zigzag?
He specified zigzag. So, but last semester, my teacher specified T, upside down T. So we were doing upside down T's. And so like
Mm-hmm.
when I forgot how I was running mine, but when she showed me a demo, she was like, so she showed me, she called it an upside down T. That's why it's almost like I feel like I'm having to learn kind of all over, even though we already did this, because this teacher's asking for something different. But
Mm-hmm.
so I'm learning like, okay, well, everybody's got their own. I just don't feel like there's one way. I feel like everybody likes them differently. So I'm just like, dude, I'm not going to follow nobody else's weld
Hmm.
patterns. I'm going to do my own, like at the end of the day, I'm going to like whatever works for me. I'm not going to like, as long as it's a good penetrated weld, I'm not going to fucking, I don't know. Did you guys do the penetration test last
Mm-mm.
semester?
Did you?
Yeah, we did two of
What
them.
class? What class was this?
MIG,
Intro to
intro to
MIG?
MIG. So we had to do, so with that bevel, 3G and 4G on the bevels.
You know how
Uh,
pissed our class was that we ran straight, flat, and horizontal beads? That's
yeah.
not a. Wait.
What is that
Dang it.
called?
That's just a bend test.
No, it wasn't, but she didn't bend it. I'm going to send you a picture. She cut it in
Did she
half.
use a red dye?
No, she used like an actual machine to cut our
Oh,
fucking. Did you guys see
but
that?
it wasn't like a dye, like a red, like a. Oh, wow. That was your.
That was part of that was part of
So
our.
that was cut in half?
Yeah, so picture that together and see how
Oh,
that. So
I
we
see.
had to fill that almost all the way in, like 3/4 we had to fill that in, but all of that was that was all uphill. So
What?
we did one of those all uphill, all
Yo,
vertical, and then we did
honestly,
another one all overhead.
the fact that you show me this picture makes me think like, what else should we be doing in advanced MIG?
Dude, that's why I'm low key like, what are we doing if this is quote unquote advanced MIG? Because I'm like, we've been doing this. I don't know. I'm not sure, but we weren't doing
Maybe
like,
when we do our bevel test, we will be testing it.
I need all the fucking practice I can get. Like, I'm trying to really, I'm not like, this isn't just like something to just pass the time or that I'm just like, oh, whatever. Like, I'm genuinely, like invested in this shit. So it's like, I don't care if he makes us fucking do all these 1x4 plates and, whatever for like the entire time. I'm fine with that. Like, I don't really give a shit because I'm sure at some point, we'll level up. But I think every instructor just does whatever they want to do outside of the paperwork or outside of our quizzes and shit.
I'm
I
not
don't know if there's
sure.
a curriculum they follow.
Well, so the fact that you said that you were in intro to MIG and we had different curriculums makes me think that it is based off the instructor.
It has to be.
It has to be. It 100% has to be because I thought they were all following the same curriculum.
I mean, I did too until right now, until you're telling me you guys didn't do that. Because, like I said, we are.
Well, watch tomorrow. I'm about to raise hell in class tomorrow. No, you laugh now. I'm about to tell everybody what you were doing an intro to Meg. I'm about
Don't
to tell.
I don't want nobody asking me questions because I don't like talking to people.
Well, I
like
just
talking
want to go
you,
up in
but-
there and be like, "What the hell?"
It was visual, but it was a penetration test because she said you can tell.
Did
Of
she
course,
put any type of liquid on it?
no.
Then I don't.
But she took it to a separate machine outside and
just
she
to cut it.
Just to cut it.
It's
But she
just a visual inspection.
It was just a visual, but still, it's still a penetration though, because
how is that a penetration?
Because
is it a penetration? What are you penetrating? Yes. Oh, dude, your weld? You're trying to see if your weld penetrated?
You have, because she was saying if your welds aren't penetrating, that's visually it's visually obvious to see if if your welds are penetrating, because that was a pass or fail. Mm-hmm. So if there was fucking holes or porosity, which some people had it, that was a fail. It was a pass or fail test, along with we had I forgot, but we did have a midterm or a final quiz, like how we took today, like a written, a written. And so along with the written, that was part of our final. Wait, but we did that for
what is the written? Like, you guys are like actually writing something out?
There was this, just like how we did today,
like a paper. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I just say that's, it's a written test because it's written out. But we had to do both of those. But we did two. We had to do two. So she did two of those. One for just vertical. So we had to build two of those plates. One for just vertical 3G, and then the one for overhead 4G. And the 4G one was just overhead. So we just did overhead. But I did not practice on vertical or overhead on anything as small as we're doing now. So I don't know if that's the advanced part, because to weld overhead and vertical on something thicker and bigger, I'm sure is a lot easier to do it than the size that we're doing it on now, which we didn't do. We didn't practice on anything. We had our X plate, and then we did, that size, which you can see there, for the 3G and 4G, but we didn't practice or do anything on something as small as we're doing now. So that, I'm sure that is harder than.
Oh, so is your left side the 3G and the right side the 4G in the picture?
No, that's all 3G. That one was all 3G.
Oh, okay.
And we had a completely separate one that was all 4G.
Okay.
Yeah. But we didn't practice on anything small, the size that we're doing now. So that might be the advanced part. I really don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Well, that's interesting. I definitely feel like
But we definitely did overhead. I'll show you. I have fucking scars on I have a scar on my boob. Doing overhead. Yeah, because like we got tattered up doing that overhead.
I feel cheated right now. I feel cheated.
It's a little nerve-wracking for me, because like you guys have all been together for a whole half of a semester. Not only am I coming in new to you guys, but I'm switching gears when the weekend. And then this is still always going to be a little bit nerve-wracking for me, because getting into welding is a whole new field that I've never done before. So I'm not cutting corners. I'm not taking my time. When I don't know something, it really, like this blueprint reading class, that's a whole different, like that might be a whole nother podcast conversation, because this blueprint class has got me fucked up, dude. Like I do not know. That's
why I said if you needed help, like I would be down to help you, because
it's like I do, but I can't even pinpoint what I need help on. I just feel like I need help on all of it. First of all, I'm horrible with numbers, horrible. So as soon as I see numbers, my brain just starts to fucking malfunction. So like that's already like fucking like hindering me out the gate. But Yeah, dude. Like my point is just that like it bothers me when I don't get something, especially when I'm like really trying. So, because he's just
I
pushing you
like
and
the
pushing
harsh
you.
grading, but I don't at the same time. Like, I still need like some guidance too because I don't know. And I don't like where if I'm doing it wrong the whole time, like I want to be stopped in my tracks and being told, "Hey, you're doing this wrong," versus me doing it wrong
And you
for
tell me
4
afterward.
hours. Yeah, for
Yeah.
4 hours all the way till lunch till like we turn it in, or like the times where I come check, like I want to be checked like, I don't know, some midway, or like it's how some of the other instructors will come in while you're welding, see how you're welding and adjust like, hey, the angle needs to be 10 degrees up, or you know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like, to me that would help a lot more than just like the final. And because we're in our learning stages right now, it's not like we're in the job field and he's a CWI and we're waiting for him to come inspect our welds. Like, we're
Yeah.
still in school right now. We still need the steps and the guidance and like, to be told how to produce these welds correctly.
Yeah. No, I know. I feel you. I feel like though, like I felt like I showed him multiple ones that he could have been like, because it almost feels like you are you.
Improvement, right?
Well, but yeah, but I'm also like, dude, are you looking for like do you think I'm going to produce perfect welds? Because I'm not
I
going to.
agree. Like you said, a lot of the people in the class, in our intro class, especially, I was like, a lot of these people have never welded before. And for them to receive a grade like a C, like, or a D, is not really fair.
Yeah, out the
Because
gate.
if they're like welding first time off the bat and you're giving a C or a D when they couldn't even strike an arc,
And this was
I'm
their
like,
first time striking, yeah,
like
doing
striking
it
an arc, like we're
ever,
talking about like basic, like,
ever. But
like
that's anything. That's any trade you're gonna learn. You're
there
gonna
has to
it's
be
gonna be
some
the
grades.
first. There's got to be a grading curve. Yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
But yeah, no, so moving from Hawaii, I was like, I know it's going to be hard for me. And I had already tried to find trade work in 2018 when I moved out here, and it was hard just being a girl. Like,
Oh, definitely.
honestly, like
That's a
from
whole nother podcast for you topic too. Like the whole woman thing
yeah,
in this
like moving
industry.
out here and telling people, like, I think at the time I was trying to get into the plumbers union and I got a lot of shit for that. Like, I applied for like this Terminator job. I got a lot of shit for that. They're like, "Are you sure you want to do this type of work?" Like, they were like, "You're gonna have to be doing this, and that." And I was like, "Yes," but the job process was a lot harder. Or though, I'll be calling people and they'll be like, "Oh, who's looking for the work?" Like, it's like, me, duh, because I'm calling.
Yeah,
Like, are you calling for somebody?
for
Like,
somebody.
no, it's
Yeah,
for me.
no, definitely.
Like when I'm shopping at the tool stores, like when I'm buying tools and they're like, "Oh, who are you shopping for?" Like, me. Like, why is this so hard to believe?
No, definitely. I don't, yeah, that's again, that's a whole nother conversation, but I know, I don't, and I don't know, but that's why it's like, I was telling my kid's dad about you and like how you're the only other female. So when I was doing them during the weekdays, there was a good amount, there was a handful of females in there. There was,
Mhm.
in my class alone, just my class, and there was multiple classes, multiple
Tell me
semesters.
the numbers.
Yeah, there was. So in just my class, there was one, two, three,
In
four,
your
five,
class?
six females,
No
six
way.
females. One, two, three. Yeah, six
No way.
females,
You had six chicks,
six,
dude.
six
You know how
chicks.
happy I was when I saw you were in our classroom?
Just in our class, dude. So
Oh
we
my
we
gosh. I
also
couldn't even
had
fathom what that's like. It's just like your typical classroom, like you're back
just
in
yeah,
high
regular.
school,
Yeah, it was
right?
regular. Yeah, definitely because it was six of us, just six, right? And then
Uh-huh.
in just our class, but then there was also like two or three other first semester classes that were broken
Mm-hmm.
in the different cohorts. And so, and then we also were in the shop with the other semesters, so the other advanced semester. So in total, in the whole workshop, there was, I don't know, maybe like no less than 10. There was like 10, 15 of us walking around in the workshop every day, Monday through Thursday, in all of the different classes. But just in my class alone, there was 6 of us.
Girl power.
Yeah, 100%. So I'm not like that, but I was telling my kid's dad about you and how, like, we were going to do this or whatever. Or I was telling him about the video we did today. I showed him. And I was explaining to him about that. Like, we were, like, laughing.
A lot of explaining.
Yeah, because he knows me. He knows, like, how, like, introverted I am, But I was like, I told him.
And how we broke a sweat doing it.
Yeah. I was like, but it was kind of fun, Like, I was like, it kind of broke me out of my shell a little because, like, I'm so in my own little world, but no, I was telling him, like, yeah, you being the only other. So I'm like, so if I came in, I'm like, I haven't seen any other females in the whole weekend. So I'm like, she was there by herself. So I was like, so for me, I had
a hard time before you came.
I could imagine. I know how that feels.
Boys were not nice. I'm gonna tell you right now.
That's what I told him.
That's what boys in that classroom were not nice to me. They were not nice. They were not nice. And it's really nice to have another chick in there because I could be more feminine. But before you came, I had to have a high guard and I had to be defensive. 100%. And I had to deal with them thinking I was a dude because when I first came into class, I came from shipyard. I had PPE. I had my hair tied back. Like, I was like full, like, go mode. And they they legit thought I was a dyke. Like, they well, I don't even think they care whether your hair's down or up. They're gonna think that out the gate. Like, you have to know, I never used to keep my hair down. When I first started the class, I always had it in braids, like 2 braids back. Like, cool. And I used to wear, like, full on, like, girl, I didn't even look like a girl.
Yeah, no, I feel you.
I've waxed out a little bit because, but honestly,
I'm very, like, not to cut you off, this is just sidebar, but I don't even like makeup. I really don't. But I do, just even in my everyday life, like, red lipstick is my thing because I've been called a dyke many a times.
Isn't it great? Isn't it?
I do. I love it. I love it.
I have a kid. Like,
exactly.
Leave me the fuck. I wear lashes, just not here, dumbass. Like,
if you only knew. But it's like, I have to, because I've been in those positions before where even like with my, although it was my dad's company, he wasn't there. So it was all these other dudes that I worked with. So my dad wasn't there. My dad wasn't there protecting me. I worked with older dudes and only dudes. I was the only female ever. There was never any other female that worked with me. So, like, in the beginning, I felt like I had, like, just, I think out of my own intimidation, because of that, I felt like I had to be one of the guys. But then I'm like, no, fuck that, dude. Like, I'm super proud of my femininity. And so, like, for me, it's like a thing. Like, I've had guys call me out because I wear lipstick, and I'm like, I'm never not going to do this because I that's almost like my thing signature. Of like, yeah, almost of my signature, but also saying, like, I'm still proud of my femininity. You could be feminine and like doing these quote unquote manly things. Like, I love working with my hands. I love being physical. Like I told you, I could never work behind a desk or just sit still. Like, I'm not like that. In my everyday, I'm how I dress when I go to the shop. Unless I get dressed up to do something, my everyday, that's how I really dress. Like, hat every day. Like, I'm wearing a hat right now. I'm wearing a hat and a flannel. Like, that's just how I dress. So, like, my red lipstick is just like saying, but there's still that feminine side to me.
I get it.
Yeah.
I mean,
but I see what you're saying.
Yeah. And I don't know, like, that's why I think I still kind of struggle with it now, just because of that whole last semester thing. Like, that's why I kind of like always wear my hair down now, is because I used to always put 2 braids and I had it back. But I think I got a lot of flashback for that. And it's like almost like a self-identity like crisis.
It is.
When I worked at the shipyard, I shaved the back of my head because it was so hot in Hawaii. We wore leather.
Yeah.
We worked
Like
in
muggy.
a ship. We worked inside of metal that was hot, which was like an oven. It was humidity. I had shaved the bottom half of my head. You can't tell when my hair is down, but when I did put the 2 braids back, you could see it. And honestly, like, I don't think any of the dudes that I worked with like thought I was a girl at all. Like, I think they thought I was a dyke too. But honestly, I really didn't care. But they didn't pick on me or bully me like the way that these boys did in school. You know, like I was fine with it because deep down I knew who I was. And whenever, you know, I am not at work, I would be, you know, wearing whatever I want to wear and doing my hair, whatever, doing my makeup, blah, blah, blah. And nobody thought I was a welder outside of that either.
Right.
Like when I'm at
but
work,
you know what? That's a cool thing,
like,
though.
it's a flop. Like, it's like they don't think I'm a girl. Like they don't think I'm a
They
welder.
don't think I'm a girl here, but when I'm out, they don't think I'm a
welder, right?
outside
Or
of here.
you know, like somebody that works with their hands. It's like, and honestly, like back then working at the shipyard, I was okay with that because I wasn't getting bullied. And I feel like getting bullied at the school really put me to a test in that. And like, it did kind of break me down because it was like, I'm holding the door being polite, not because I'm a sir. Like,
thank you, sir. Oh my God. And that, you know what? There is, like with females, there's strength in numbers. So like even with just one other female, I promise you, like they're gonna fall back. But to the flip of that, I've gotten shit because I do wear lipstick and, you know, whatever. But like I think on the flip of that, some guys will assume that I'm there to like just be around guys.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like that's the flip of either you're going to be one or the other. So either they're going to call you a dyke or they're going to think you just want to be around dudes. And I'm like, first of all, I don't even like people. That's just first of all. So like, but I just explained to you, like for me, I wear my red lipstick every day when I'm home by myself. That's just like for me to keep my femininity in check because I feel like I have to kind of be a little bit more on the masculine side for other things. So I have to find that really fine line where I'm comfortable in both, you know, like but yeah, there's not a lot of females out there that like doing shit with their hands or being physical or getting dirty. Apparently other dudes aren't aware that there are females that do like that though. They find that it's like such a but I think it's becoming more common. It's more common, you know, but with social media too, all you're seeing is like girls with OnlyFans and girls showing their ass and girls showing this. And so like, I think for men, for dudes, it's such a foreign concept to think there are chicks out there that want to get dirty, want to work with their hands, want to keep busy. You know what I mean? Like that's like a foreign thing because all they see is what they see in social media, which is chicks that just want to be liked for showing their body, you know, and that's becoming more too. Like, yeah, now with the OnlyFans thing, that's like a thing. So it's like, you know, but there are hardworking women out there. And I think that's just like a foreign concept for men. I don't know why, but it is like,
I've been in work environments with dudes and like, you know how when they
I've been the only chick with dudes. Yeah.
You know how when they mess with you, like, you know, sometimes you ignore it, sometimes you fight back, right?
Yeah.
I'm the type of person that will fight back. Like I don't take shit.
So you just kind of had a rough start in the beginning when you first started.
Yeah. And then I think.
Was there other females last semester or less?
No, there wasn't. Okay. Yeah.
So you were the only one in the whole weekend cohort.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. For me, those things go over my head. And it was like, yeah, but that's not okay. And I was like, yeah, but
yeah, no, it's not okay.
When you work and you grow up in these type of environments, those type of things don't faze you. And if you Yeah, but if you can't handle this with me and you have to get other authorities involved, like,
No, I get what you're saying. You're saying I know you guys aren't HR, but he's the type that if this was a job setting would go to HR.
right.
Yeah,
So I was
definitely.
like, at that point, I was like, if you can't handle the situation with me and you got to tell your friends to go tell the teacher, sorry, Blair, I'm almost done with the call, okay? Okay, go. But I was like, honestly, like, I wish if we were to handle the situation differently, you should have came to me. And
Yeah, and talk to you
you
directly.
should have talked to me about it. So that was like my whole thing, because like if you want to be doing all that side shit, don't get upset if you can't
Yeah, no, I feel
pay
you.
back.
I'm like, I feel you, dude. I feel you. I'm like that. I'm super quiet.
And
I'm
it's the
so
petty
like,
shit. Like it's not
it
even
is
like, it's like the petty shit that I shouldn't even have to discuss, nor discuss in front of the teacher. Like, we're in school, I get that, like, you know what I mean? It's like just dumb stuff, but it's like if you
like if
want
you're
to,
gonna dish it out, you got to take it, and that's just like it. That's
especially,
like an
yeah.
unspoken rule. Like if okay, so if you're gonna fuck with me, I'm gonna fuck with you. Period.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
And I don't mean
And
that in a
I'm not
cute
gonna tell
way.
and tattletale and cry about it, and you shouldn't be fucking crying and
And then
tattletelling about it.
at the end of the like the little talk I had with him, and I said, and when we go back down there, like, is gonna like we're gonna pretend like this shit didn't even happen. And
Uh,
he said he's like, pretend like what shit didn't happen. The part where you made me feel like I was less of a man for going to the teacher. He said that shit. He said that shit. He said that shit.
you're all womp womp. Womp womp.
Bro, he said that in front of freaking two grown men teachers. Like,
Dude, he all thought he was getting some sympathy points or something, or what's going on there. I
and
think
I can't make this shit
the
up,
teachers
bro.
at that point automatically took your side.
I cannot make that shit up, dude. I cannot.
Oh my God.
And so
That's
I just was
crazy.
like, it's cool, like, honestly, like, to me, it's over my head. The
Yeah.
little shit is so over my head. You know what I mean? But the fact that were saying that I could have possibly been kicked out of the program because of
Yeah,
that
dude, that's
pissed me off.
crazy. That is crazy. How are you and him now though? You and
No, it's fine. It's like I don't
Luke.
hold grudges. Like I don't, you know what I mean? Like in a work environment, at the end of the day, like I'm not a chick. Like I'm not a petty chick. You know what I'm
Same.
talking about?
100%. 100%.
Especially when you work with guys, like, or grew
Guys
up
can
working with
sometimes can
guys.
be a little bit more.
Oh yes, they can.
They have their
100%.
own challenge. Okay, here's the thing. You
Yeah.
being a female, you know how females can be. Females are ruthless.
I understand.
Ruthless. But that doesn't make working with a bunch of dudes better, because working with a bunch of dudes has its own set of challenges. It's different. It's the same but different. Like I'm telling you, like I know I've gotten fucked with, and that's what I was telling my baby daddy about you being the only other chick in there. I'm like, you would think that guys would think, oh, there's one female. Like when I've had guy friends or my cousins or whatever, they're like, oh, all the guys must be all over you. I'm like, no, it's not like that. Guys don't like females being in their like guy club. Do you know what I mean? Like when you're a little boys don't really like little girls playing with them. Like boys only, no girls allowed. That's how it is in the work field. So it's like, unless you're coming in there rocking fucking and your cleavage is out and you're literally just throwing it out there, unless you're doing that, guys do not want you there. Guys don't want you there. They don't.
Right.
And it takes you having to kind of know them and them getting to know you and them seeing your work ethic and them seeing like that you have to prove you don't have to, but eventually you will prove yourself to the dudes that you work with that like, I deserve to be here just as much as you do. Because yeah, it's working in those types of even though this isn't a job, but in the school environment that you and I are in, it's a no girls allowed type of club. Guys don't like when females are in that type of shit because guys don't like thinking chicks can do the type of shit that they can do. And sometimes better. And that's the truth. That is the truth. I've heard that sometimes female welders make even better welders than men welders because women are just naturally more detail oriented and they're more precise just naturally with other things, and that translates into whatever field they're in. And I've learned that sometimes men don't like you being in their space, and not only being in their space but doing what they do. Sometimes they think you could be better at that than them, and they don't like that. Do you know what I mean?
It gets competitive, yeah.
And it gets competitive, and men can be just as competitive as women can, and that's what I've learned, and that's been such a fucking shitty thing to learn.
Dude, being a weekend female, like in the trades, like you even saw the electricians downstairs. When we passed,
I've yet
there's
to
no
see a
females
female
in there either. Like
there wasn't in the week
it is
either.
rough. It was rough. And
yeah, there wasn't any during the weekend with the HVAC or the electricians either. But not only was I friends with, all the females were friends in my class, but I also made friends with the females in the semester ahead of me. We all just kind of like powwowed together. So we always kind of just all looked out for each other. So there wasn't that, which I kind of can sense like more so. And well, I think if you're a female who wants to weld, I think maybe naturally you're just not going to be that type of catty female. I'm sure maybe there are some, but I'm just thinking like innately, if you're a type of female who likes to be working with your hands and, physical labor, you probably lack some of that cattiness.
To be like more to themselves, like, have like a higher wall built up or whatever until you get to know them, like you said. But yeah, for the most part, I think women in the trades, like they're in there kind of for the same reason you're in there.
Yeah.
And so you relate on different but similar things. And you're right. The men could almost be like females in a sense where they can sometimes go based off their emotions or what they think. Or I've even worked with someone that was very traditional and they wouldn't let me carry anything heavy. Like they were just like, oh, you could sit there like, just sit there. And I was like, I'm here to work, Yeah.
I'm not like, I don't take like, I definitely respect that. And I love that about guys that'll be like, oh, you good, you got that. But then there's a part of me that's like, fool, if I couldn't deal with this, I wouldn't be here. You know what I mean? I almost like there's a little part, but I keep that in check. Like I'm always like, no, I'm good, thanks. Because I've had dudes be like, oh, do you need me to do this for you? Or you got, and I'm like, oh, I'm good. But then really,
I had some guys do that to me because there was guys that was definitely mean to me on weekends. There was guys that were nice to me. And then there was guys that would just randomly want to help me when I didn't even ask for it.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't even ask for it. And they would just like jump in and help me. And I was like, thanks. But they would make it worse. Dude, sometimes they would literally try to help me, but they didn't know what they were doing. And I was like...
You're like, I do this better than you do.
Like I had one guy try to help me replace my wire, and he completely bird's nested it. Like...
You're like, I got it. Thanks.
And there was 3 instructors watching, by the way.
Oh, no.
I know. Yeah. And he came out of nowhere. And I was like, oh, thank you. And then birds nested and then left. And I was like, okay.
Thanks, guy. Yeah, no, totally. Like, I think, like, don't use me as your opportunity to kind of show off your bravado if you don't, you know what I mean? Like, we're all here for the same reason. I wouldn't be here if I couldn't handle my own. There's no way. If I was just, unless you're just like that dumb of a chick who is just like, in it for all the wrong reasons, you're, like, unless that's the case, you have to kind of give females the credit, like she's here for a reason, like, so like,
I did feel like when I worked at the shipyard, I had to prove myself 10 times harder than I typically would
100%.
have.
100%.
Because I felt like I had to work harder and I had to show them I can carry this heavy thing. Like, I
Yeah.
can do the work the same as you guys can. Like, let me drive the work truck. Like, I am capable of driving. Like, there was so many things that I had to just push through day to day and like beat myself over just to prove to them that like I can work just as hard as you guys can.
Men do have an innate strength that women don't have. Like, when there are very strong women, don't get me wrong, and there are definitely women who are stronger than some men, but on a whole, on a scale, men have an innate strength that women don't have. Women have an innate emotional strength that men don't have. There's different things that men have that women don't have, and vice versa. But those things equal out, and those are the things that make us equal.
I think we kind of grow up in doing things that we enjoy. And for us, it was like for you, for instance, it was working with your dad. And because he was in a trade, like the fiber optical field, like you got a taste, and it's almost like built in your DNA to work hard, you know?
Yeah.
And for me, it was growing up in a trade school and taking construction and engineering, and every project that we had to do was all individual assignments. And of course, we had group projects, but it kind of like structured my brain to think like more,
Outside the box.
well, yeah, and like mechanical, like the way things operate, like, like how things are made, like how things are built, like just a different way of thinking, honestly.
Yeah.
And I think that enjoying like seeing the result of seeing something from start to finish and like you putting your hard work into kind of gives you that like gratification or like the satisfaction of like oh like you know from start to finish I got to see it through, and this is the project that I worked on.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I also think, I grew up being like a tomboy, and like I just think there's just certain females that are this and there's certain females that are that. So that's why I'm very like to myself. I'm very quiet. I don't like to talk unless I have something to talk about. With you, it's because I saw that you're the only other female there, and I'm not like that. Like, where, oh, she's the only other female, so they're naturally, let's compete. I'm the opposite. Like, naturally, let's look out for each other because we're outnumbered, first of all. And second of all, like, I know what it feels like to be a female in a male dominated anything. It doesn't, I guess, unless you get comfortable, like you've made friends, you've made comrades in the fucking class from being there a whole semester, but still, like, it's still a little bit unsettling because you're outnumbered. And so I'm like, naturally, I'm going to be like, let's look out for one another. I'm going to feel that way towards the guys that we're in class with too, but I'm going to just naturally feel a little bit more inclined to feel that way towards you. But yeah, like that's just like my take on, but especially with women in the field, like I feel like whether you consider yourself an underdog or an oddball out, being a female, I look at you, no, not you, but just generally speaking, I look at another female in a male dominated field. I look at a female that way, period. Whether she thinks of herself like that or not. So I'm just going to always naturally have your back. Just because of your hands-on experience you've had before, guys don't like that. A. B. On top of that, you're outspoken. Like, you're not shy. You're not quiet. Like, I'm super quiet. I'm super shy naturally. And so, like, to be outspoken, to know what you're talking about, that's threatening for a guy, because sometimes guys can look at you like you potentially, not only could you potentially like maybe possibly take their job, but you could potentially think about any job you've ever had. Think of all the people that were the higher ups. A lot of the higher ups are females. In any job I've ever had, like warehouse work and office jobs, whatever, a lot of the higher ups are females. You have to know what the fuck you're doing. You have to be outspoken. You can't be intimidated. And you show all those signs. And I think for guys, even the instructors, even though you're not coming for their jobs, they're not looking at it like that. It's just on a whole. And I think it could just be like it's just a threat. You pose a threat. And
Oh,
it could
that's
just be simply
interesting.
that. Yeah, it could just be simply that. So they're going to give you a hard time. They're going to pick on you.
I
They
really
know.
wouldn't think of it like that.
Yeah. If you
But
were quiet and shy and you kind of didn't know what you were talking about, I don't think anybody
I
would
mean, I
even.
only sit in the front because I'm blind.
No, not only you sitting in the front though, Brooklyn, you're outspoken. You say you have no problem like just speaking out.
Oh yeah,
And
which I'm definitely gonna do tomorrow about your intro classes.
but there's not only females, but there's guys that are kind of quiet and don't want to speak up. Like you have no problem speaking up, and that's just a
Right.
trait that like not everybody has. I'm not like that.
Right.
So no one's going to look at me as like, oh, she's a threat. I just hate doing shit in front of people if I don't know what I'm doing.
Aloha Kanaka. Thanks for tuning in to our podcast, Kanaka of All Trades. It has been a busy winter break. I am back and I had a couple new opportunities where I'm going to bring in some new people and just discuss the trades they're in and what got them into it, and hopefully you can learn something, or if you're interested in joining a trade, you can reach out to these people in the trade that you're interested in and get more information about how to be in the trade. This started off as a dream, and now it's becoming more real for me. I love talking to people. I'm very social. I get to do all these really cool opportunities, and I'm really thankful for all the people that I've met and the women that are in the industry that give so much support. So if you know anyone that would love to talk on the podcast, shoot them my way at Kanaka of All Trades. I'm also on Instagram as Wailana Welds. And tune in next time for our next episode on Kanaka of All Trades.